Hey guys, I'm Adam Gibson, one of our pastors of our downtown church. Thank you for your support these last few weeks as we reach our goals for Agape Children's Ministry. Across Kenya, thousands of children struggle to survive each day on the streets. They face danger, hunger, uncertainty, often because their families can't provide the safety, the care, or the stability that they need. But there is a way to bring hope, and it's not just from afar, but in person. Agape Children's Ministry rescues kids from the streets and gives them a safe place to heal, to learn, and experience the love of Christ. Counselors, social workers, and staff walk with each child, working towards the goal of family reconciliation. One of the meaningful ways to support this ministry is to actually go. In the past, teams from our family of churches have had the opportunity to serve alongside Agape on short-term trips. On these visits, we joined street outreach programs, conducted home visits, spent time in the Agape compounds with the children. Vacation Bible schools were run in multiple cities, while our pastoral staff provided some theological training for Agape's team. It's an incredible way to serve the staff, to love the kids, and encourage the ministry. Agape always welcomes teams to serve and support and build relationships with both the children and the staff. And in the coming year, we hope to plan another trip. We're opening applications for those who are interested in going. Sometimes the best way to make a difference is to step into the story yourself, to go, to serve, to love in the name of Christ. So if you're interested in applying to go on a future trip to Agape, you can visit our website, midtowncolumbia.com/agape. You can join the interest list and be notified when the opportunity arises. Also, this is the final week to give toward our fundraising goal or to become a prayer partner with Agape. You could do both of those at that website as well. Thank you in advance for your support and prayers for this ministry.
Amen. Good morning. How we doing? Good to see you. My name is John, one of the pastors here. Grab a Bible and flip open to John chapter 14. If you don't have a Bible, there are Bibles at the end of the row. Someone will be happy to pass one of those down to you. Kids, good to see you in the morning. Good to see you this morning. Thanks for the waves. I love that. Last Sunday gathering in the year of 2025. Everybody ready for Christmas? Yeah, big time. I love that. Okay, let's do a quick crowd interactive. By show of hands, if you are traveling somewhere for Christmas, raise your hand. Okay, keep them up there. Keep them up there real quick. Keep them up if where you are going is a childhood home, like it's somewhere that you grew up. Okay, cool. Put them down. And now raise your hand if you're not going anywhere. You're staying at home, not going nowhere. All right, beautiful, cool. So the Ludovina crew, we are in the first group. Later this afternoon, we will pack up the car and we will head up to the upstate to a place that we affectionately refer to as the farm. It is not a childhood home that I grew up in, but it's where my mom lives and my oldest sister, Kess, and her family live there. And for our family, it is where we all get together now. So my middle sister, Suzanne, is currently driving down from Pennsylvania, and we will all meet there. And it is absolute chaos, and I love it. It'll be one Nana, 3 siblings with 3 spouses and 10 grandchildren all packed in under one roof, and we'll have a great time. We'll play some cards and some Carcassonne, and it's just going to be great. It's nuts. I love it. There is something about Christmas and the holidays that brings this idea of home into hyper-focus. You know what I mean? Have you noticed that? Like we extra decorate our homes inside and out to make them feel warmer in the midst of the cold. But it's not just about the house. We cook these big elaborate meals and everyone tries to show off their best thing if you're allowed to do that. Or if grandma and auntie say, no, we're not doing that, then you're not allowed to, and that's fine. You just keep your stupid recipe for your family at home, and that's fine. But it's not really about the food either. It's about more than the house. It's about more than the food. It's about the togetherness, right? It's about multiple generation long-standing traditions, plus maybe some new ones that you probably learned from TikTok. And it's about the card games, and it's about the minute to win it games, and it's about reading in a room and maybe, some of us fall asleep and take a nap and a kid jumps on you and wakes you up, and it's great. It's just about the togetherness. And then I love all of that. But then at the exact same time, I find it interesting that in the middle of the happiest season of all, a whole segment of the population is experiencing something totally different. not this warmth and joy, but instead a longing and an aching and a searing pain, because home for them is not at all what they wish it was. Or maybe it's not what it used to be. Maybe due to loss or tragedy, someone's not there that you wish was there. Maybe it's just a phone call that you wish you could make on Christmas, but you can't make that phone call anymore. Maybe it's because of unanswered prayers for a spouse or a child. So your family just doesn't look like what you hoped and wished it would have by now. Maybe it's just because of just little changes over time. It's just not the same that it used to be. So maybe for you, you don't associate the idea of family and home with positive memories at all. But then we get this cultural moment where it seems like everyone else is celebrating and cherishing this idea of home and family, which makes you feel all the more alone in the midst of it. And this is not just me guessing here. I don't know if y'all know this or not, but on Mondays, our downtown pastors, we pray for all of our members, and we have different ways to get feedback from our members on things they want us to be praying for them. And so I just know that for more than plenty of y'all in the room, in this happiest season of all, you are mourning and grieving and hurting for all variety of different reasons. And in our text this morning, the disciples are feeling some of that same kind of ache for home. So last week in chapter 13, Jesus told them that he was leaving and that where he was going, they couldn't come with him. So the one who had made them feel at home with God is now going away. And they aren't taking it great. They are pretty upset. But Jesus is going to comfort them in the middle of that, and he's going to promise and show them the way home. If you will, pick it up with me. This is Jesus comforting them in chapter 14, verse 1. He says to the disciples, he says, "Let not your hearts be troubled." I love that. Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, that where I am, you may be also. So like we saw a few weeks ago when Jesus comforted Lazarus' sisters as they were mourning after his death, and we saw Jesus was so good. He knows exactly what people need in the midst of their grief. We see that here again. He's so good at comforting people when they are hurting. I want to break down two aspects of what Jesus offers to his disciples here. Look back at verse 1. He says, "Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me." Here's how I would summarize it. The first thing that Jesus offers them is present help. He offers them present help in the midst of their pain. How do I see that? Well, first off, Jesus knows what they're going through. They don't have to tell him. He just discerns it. He can tell what they're going through. He discerns their state of mind, their emotions. He knows their hearts are troubled. And he responds to them in the midst of it. He's attuned to what they are going through. And he offers them what they need. And then here's the second part of it. He doesn't just offer them a Band-Aid, but he actually gives them an ongoing source of help that you may not have caught in there. But when he says, believe in God, believe also in me, what he's telling them is, in the midst of your painful circumstances, don't forget everything I've taught you. Don't forget who I've shown you God is, that he's with you, that he's for you, that he loves you in the midst of whatever circumstances you're going through, which is one of the hardest things about painful circumstances is it can turn into, God doesn't care about me, I'm all alone, no one knows what I'm going through. And Jesus is saying, no, don't forget. He knows you. He's with you. You're not alone. He loves you despite what your circumstances are saying. It reminds me of Isaiah 7:14 that oftentimes gets read around Christmas. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son and shall call his name Emmanuel. That's Jesus, y'all. Jesus is Emmanuel, God with us. Many of you know the name Emmanuel means God with us. Christmas is about, Jesus is reminding his disciples here, God is with you. Whether it feels like it or not, sometimes our perceptions don't see accurately, but he is with you. He is Emmanuel, and you are not alone. All right, here's the second thing that I think he offers them. Look at verse 2 and 3. He says, in my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? So we don't know exactly, and this is not, there's some metaphor and some poetry in here. It's not literal necessarily. I don't know what you picture when you think about heaven. But Jesus' metaphor here tells us that in some ways, heaven is going to be like the farm that my family is heading up to this afternoon. Now, all the joy and the warmth and the togetherness of 20 people packed in under one roof, but not 20 people under one roof, more like 20 billion. And I don't know how many roofs will be there, and if it's separate mansions or if they're all like connected, kind of like condos. I don't know how the logistics will work. I don't know who will be in the room next to you, but all God's people is one family together, sharing in the warmth and the joy of his home with him forever. That's the vibe of what Jesus is communicating here. All right, look at verse 3. He says, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, that where I am, you may be also. And some of you know this is like engagement language for them. So when a man would propose to a woman, would become betrothed, he would go and prepare a house for them to live in together. That's the language that Jesus is using together. Here's what I would say. I would say the second thing that Jesus offers to his disciples and to us here is he offers them a future hope. He doesn't just offer them present help in the midst of their painful circumstances. He also offers them a future, a home that he is preparing to live in with them forever. He points ahead to a time and a place where there will be no more troubled hearts. You can't go where I'm going now, but it's okay. I'm leaving to prepare a future and a place for you where we'll be together. So I think about this pastorally. Sometimes when someone is struggling with a really hard situation or a really hard circumstance, sometimes a really helpful thing to do is to ask them, okay, imagine 5 or 10 years down the road when this situation is totally resolved. What would your life look like then? And you just kind of get them out of the mess of what they're in and zoomed out a little bit, thinking about what it could look like. And then you reverse engineer and you say, okay, I love all that. That's beautiful. What's one step we can take in that direction now? Sometimes just a future hope, just an imagined reality of what the future could be, helps people get out of the stuck that they're in now. That's part of what Jesus is offering to us here. Not just present help, but also a future hope to keep us moving in the right direction. Okay, let me point out 2 important contexts for what Jesus is offering them here. Both the present help of Emmanuel, God with us, and the future hope of a permanent home with him. First, I want you to think about the personal context for the disciples that he's speaking to here. He's talking to his boys, the disciples, and Jesus speaks these words to them the night before his death on the cross. It's one day before, which means the disciples' entire world is about to collapse. They have no idea how bad it's about to get. They think they're troubled now just by his words, that they can't go with him where he's going. Their world is about to get wrecked. More than they can imagine. They're about to need present help and future hope, which is a good note for us. I do not know what trouble is coming your way or my way, and neither do you. God always does. He is never surprised by what's coming. He is never surprised by the phone call you might get next week. And before it even comes, he's offering to you present help and future hope. He's anchoring you and grounding you in the reality that he's with you and that there is a future home coming where all of these pains and all of these suffering and all of the nasty of this world and the brokenness of this world will be gone forever. Okay, here's the second thing I want you to think about. That's the first one, is the personal context for the disciples. The second one is I want you to think about what Jesus says here in the midst of its Christmas or Advent context. I just think this is really beautiful. And the fact that this text landed here on our last gathering before Christmas, I just love it. It's almost like there's a God who coordinated all of it. It's not that, but it's almost like that. Think about the path from Jesus' birth to this moment. The story that began with no room in the inn ends with Jesus promising many rooms in his Father's house. The one who had nowhere to lay his head is preparing a place for you to lay your head forever in perfect peace. Which, if you think about it, that's really poignant and beautiful, because the disciples' sense of home and normalcy and being with Jesus, it's all about to get shattered the next day in the cross. But through the cross, Jesus will secure for them the permanent home that they long for. So just like Jesus' life on earth went from homeless in some manner of speaking to many rooms in the Father's house, so will the disciples. Their life is about to be shattered, and in some way, so will ours at times. But for any who believe, that there's the one part of the beauty of the Christmas story is that no matter how bad it is now, something better is coming. That's the arc of the gospel. That's the arc of Jesus. From homeless to a home for everyone, offered to everyone. All right, and now having promised this future home, Jesus is going to talk about the way there. Pick it back up in verse 4. He says, and you know the way to where I am going. We don't know for sure. I think Jesus says this with a little wink in his eye. Like, come on, guys, you know the way. Quit acting like you don't know. We don't know exactly how this went down, but it's just easy for me to imagine Jesus with a little mischievous grin because they absolutely do not know the way. Verse 5, Thomas said to him, Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way? I don't know what you're talking about, man. Now, Jesus, we don't even know where you're going. How can we know the way there? Verse 6, Jesus said to him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known me, you would have known my Father also. From now on, you do know him and have seen him. Okay, so just a quick aside, a quick reminder for any of you who ever bounce into someone claiming, well, Jesus never said he was God. He did over and over and over again, if you have the reading comprehension to see it. I'm just saying, like, he said, I am the bread of life, which is God. He said, I am the living water, which is God. He said, I am the good shepherd, which is God. He said, before Moses was, I am, which is God's specific name in the entire Old Testament. He claims God's name. He claims the biggest Old Testament descriptions of God over and over and over again. And here he adds to the list, I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. And then he says, the Father, you've seen him. Why? Because you know me and you've seen me. Those are pretty overt claims to divinity. I want to finish out our year and send us into Christmas breaking down the first part of Jesus' claim to divinity here, where he says, I am the way. I think this is really fascinating because Christmas at some level is about Jesus coming to make a way to bring us home. Christmas is about Jesus coming to make a way to bring us home. I got two big ideas as we close out our time this morning. Number one, Jesus' way is the most inclusive, exclusive ever. I'll say that again. Jesus' way is the most inclusive, exclusive ever. So I don't know if you picked up on this or not back in verse 6, but he said, no one comes to the Father except through me. That's what these are Jesus' words. You don't have to like them, but you're not mad at me, you're mad at him. No one comes to the Father except through me. That sounds kind of grinchy, Jesus. Why are you being so exclusive? Kids in the room. When I say exclusive, what I mean here is a rule about who gets to be in or out of the group and why. And in our current cultural moment, there are a lot of people who don't want any exclusives at all. We shouldn't leave out anyone ever for any reason. Can't we all just get along and be happy together? And historically, in human history, the short answer is no, we can't. I wish we could. So Jesus here says there's an exclusive way to him. In this way, King Jesus is not particularly concerned with our cultural sensitivities. He said there's one way to know the Father, and it's through me. And you might not like that. You might wrestle with that and say, that's such an exclusive. Why, Jesus? Why does it have to be like this? But before you reject it, I do want you to hear this. It's the most inclusive, exclusive ever. It's the most everyone is welcome to this exclusive, there's a way in and out ever. Here's what I mean. Jesus offers himself and his way to everyone. Are you rich? Even in this economy, you're still invited. Poor, you're invited. Black, invited. White, invited. Brown, invited. Successful, you're invited. Really struggling, you're invited. If you're the hero golden child of your home, And the reason you're excited to go home this week is you're about to be lavished with 10,000 stories of your successes from your mom who thinks you're very special. You're invited to come humble yourself and find your righteousness in Jesus. And if you are the black sheep of the family who hates going home and sitting next to your sibling while they get lavished with all the success stories, you're invited to come find that Jesus says in his house, it's not about your performance, it's about his. And you get credited with that. And you could be made whole and new. Whoever you are, you're invited. Merry Christmas. You're invited into the most inclusive, exclusive ever. That's the first one. Jesus' way is the most inclusive, exclusive ever. Here's the second one. I love this. Jesus' way is totally different than any other way. Jesus' way is totally different than any other way. When he says, I am the way, and then he outright says there are no other ways to the Father. We already said that's exclusive, but I want to talk about why. What's different about Jesus than everything else the world offers? See, in Christianity, Jesus is the central, the most important thing. In other religions, the central, the most important thing is the way. But in Christianity, it's the person of Jesus. What do I mean when I say in other religions, the central thing is the way? Well, think about it like this. The way is about how do you find God? How do you get a relationship with the divine? How do you find your way back home? How do you have peace with yourself and with others? And here's what other religions say. One religion says, here are the 5 pillars. This is the way. Another religion says, I've got 4 noble truths and an 8-fold path for you, and that's the way. And if you're part of a really conservative Christian group that's lost the gospel and slipped into Christian moralism instead, then the way is, here are the rules that you must follow in order for God to like you. And they generally are something like, don't drink or smoke or chew or go with girls who do. That was the version of it I got growing up. And then there's a progressive secular version of Christianity or just modern religion that doesn't call itself religion in our culture that says, in this house, women's rights are human rights and no human is illegal and science is real and love is love and kindness is everything. And there's nothing wrong with a lot of those things, but depending on how we define certain terms, some of them get a little weird. But what is that? It's a way to know that you're righteous. It's an exclusive claim. To know that you're in and other people are out if they don't agree with you about all these words. And Jesus says, I got a different kind of way. I am the way. In all of those, the way matters ultimately. The way matters more than anything else. More than the basis of salvation, more than the person teaching the way itself is what's most important. It's the basis for salvation, the basis for hope and peace. It's something you do. You want to get home? You want to be right with God? You want to have a relationship with the divine? Here's what you do. Here are the rules to follow. Here is the way. And if the basis of salvation and hope and peace is something you do with your effort, then the way is more important than anything else. It's more important than the teacher who brought it or anything. But that's not how Christianity works at all. What does Jesus say? He says, I am the way. Not just I'll teach you the way. He did what we cannot do. He did not give us rules to do more to make ourselves right with God. Christianity and Christmas isn't about you earning the way back home on your own. It's about God who came for you when there was nothing you could do to make a way. This is what Christmas is about. Jesus came to make a way to bring us home. If you're new to all of this, if you're checking Jesus out, if you've got questions, I just want to let you know this morning, Merry Christmas. I don't have 5 pillars or 4 noble truths or an 8-fold path or hundreds of Christian-y rules for you. You're allowed to dance here and drink alcohol so long as it doesn't turn into alcoholism and sin. And I just want you to know Jesus. I just want you to know Jesus because he is the way. And if your heart feels troubled this season, if you feel lost or far from home, listen, the one who came into our world with nowhere to lay his head, he is inviting you to find in him the way back home, to trust in him, to know him, to follow him. The one who had no room in the inn for his little family, he has gone ahead to prepare a place for you. He's preparing a home full of perfect peace and eternal joy and ultimate comfort, the home that all of us long and ache for, especially around the holidays. He's preparing it for you, and you're invited into it. Regardless of what your holidays will look like, Jesus is offering to you what we all want for our lives: peace with ourselves and each other and God, joy and comfort that do not cease, the ability to smile at life with all of its stresses and struggles and relational breakdowns and sins of all kind. He's preparing a home where all of those things are things of the past. And the way to receive in him the way is to just say, I quit trying to do it on my own. I quit trying to find the way back to the Father on my own. Jesus, you are the way, and you just cling to him. That's what faith is. It's saying, I give up on all the things I've tried to make my life good on my own, and I cling to you, Jesus. You are the only way. So this Christmas, may you know that the one who came as a child in Bethlehem is the same one who says to you now, let not your hearts be troubled. That he is the one who did for you what you could never do for yourself. And a truly Merry Christmas to you all. Let's pray.